Welcome to Savage Rants. I'm Nick Savage, and today we're going to talk about the TPP. And no, sadly, it is not an Aboriginal-themed porta potty, but an acronym for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the largest and most comprehensive free trade agreement in the history of the universe. The 12 countries included in the deal all hug the Pacific Ocean, hence the Trans-Pacific part of the name, and included economic heavy hitters like the US and Japan, as well as more middle-of-the-road developed nations like Australia and, well, us. This free trade agreement is extremely complicated, so your first question should really be, how the hell is some middling comedian with a bachelor's degree going to explain it? Well, fortunately for you, I have Canada's philosopher kings, your federal party leaders, to explain it for me, starting with the only guy who's actually seen it.
Today is a historic day. It is a great day for Canada. It is a great day for Canadians. A day we take a significant step forward towards achieving our stated goal of protecting our economy and creating another 1.3 million new, well-paying jobs by 2020. Throughout these negotiations, we said we would only agree to a deal that is in Canada's best interests, and that is what we have done. Every sector of our economy in every part of our country will benefit. Exporters and workers in all communities, in all provinces and regions across our great country will benefit.
Awesome! I guess we can all go home then. No need to watch the rest of the speech.
In our dairy sector, for example, we have limited access to just 3.25% of our market. And we will keep our supply-managed farmers whole from any loss of income or quota value stemming from the implementation of this agreement. Cabinet has approved a $4.3 billion fund to be paid to farmers and processors over the first 15 years of this agreement.
Wait, how can you say, hey dairy farmers, you're gonna be okay, I gotcha. Also, here's some money. Because, look, I'm neither an economist nor a farmer, but if someone offered you a plate of food in a barf bag, would you really believe them when they told you that the food won't make you sick? Okay, now I'm concerned that, I don't know, maybe this deal isn't great for everybody in every sector everywhere. Any other industries that we should be worried about?
I know there is also concern in some parts of our auto industry about the implications of this agreement for that vital sector. I want to reassure the Canadians who depend on it for their livelihood that we have reached an agreement that will clearly benefit our auto industry here at home.
That's great. I have to admit, I was worried about the auto.
We will also be announcing shortly measures to attract new auto investment to Canada and to ensure the long-term stability and presence of assembly operations here in Canada.
Aw, come on, Stephen! You're making my head hurt! If the auto sector will be fine with the TPP, why promise the government will invest money in it? Is Stephen Harper manipulating me? Stick to the numbers, Savage. Remember.
And creating another 1.3 million new, well-paying jobs by 2020.
1.3 million jobs. It feels good just saying it. Yes, Harper's pronouncements on dairy and car manufacturing were a little cryptic, but as an economist and three-time elected prime minister, you can trust him when it comes to the numbers. Heck, he balanced the budget earlier this year, remember?
A surplus of $1.4 billion is what the Harper government predicted in the April budget. But a $1 billion shortfall is what the Parliamentary Budget Office is now estimating for the next fiscal year.
Okay, but that's just one slip-up. Harper's been straight on the numbers in the past, right?
You're a numbers cruncher. Did the government want Canadians to think the planes were going to cost less?
Yes.
Oh, former Parliamentary Budget Officer Kevin Page. Never has an employee been hated so much by their employer for doing their job so well. Mr. Harper wasn't the only party leader with unverifiable facts and numbers concerning the TPP.
But Stephen Harper is selling out our auto workers, sacrificing our farming families, making prescription drugs more expensive, risking our Canadian culture.
This deal particularly hurts Canadian families whose livelihood is gained in the auto sector. 20,000 jobs. Dairy deals that the Conservatives have signed so far are costing hundreds of millions of dollars to dairy farmers in that province.
Melancholy Mulcair is not a fan of this deal, despite the fact that, as he himself admits,
we've learned that he won't tell Canadians what's in the deal. He won't release the full text.
So despite not having read it in its entirety, Mulcair has declared he will never agree to it. However, now he has to explain how not being part of the agreement is not a detriment to Canada. Which he does, although in terribly un-Dipper language.
And I can tell you confidently that you're still going to be able to buy a Honda, and you're still going to be able to buy a nice bottle of Kim Crawford white wine.
Listen, I know you've tried to take some of the center away from Trudeau with your promises of balanced budgets, but Hondas and Kim Crawford wines? Tommy, I thought you were the leader of the Party of Labour, the working man's champion. You can't get a bottle of Kim Crawford wine for cheaper than $20 at my local LCBO, and Hondas have been out of the price range of most middle and lower class families since 2000, when spoiled rich kids decided that Civics were the only car they would accept as a present for their sweet 16s. Now, as for Trudeau and the TPP, one thing is resolutely clear.
I think the trade is good and important. The Liberal Party has always understood how important trade is, and we will continue to stand for trade and for engaging with the world. We go into it from a position of being resolutely and consistently, I might add.
Well, what are your thoughts on those changes that you just
My
referred
thoughts
to?
is that trade is extremely important for Canada.
Me, Justin, me like trade. Trade good, not trade bad. Maybe? Okay, it's a little funny to poke fun at Justin, but in his defense, it is often hard to argue against free trade. It has two words in it we love. Trade, which we've been doing with hockey cards and fruit roll-ups since we were little kids, and free. And really, most things with the word free attached to them are awesome, like free lunches and free rides and free Z's. They're all awesome. Also, it isn't entirely clear who free trade agreements really benefit. Take NAFTA, our free trade agreement with the US and Mexico. Yes, our gross domestic product and corporate profits have increased, but worker wages have remained stagnant in the 20 years since we signed the deal, and our manufacturing sector has shrunk. Whether you benefit from free trade agreements depends a lot on who you are. If you're in the corporate class of the resource extraction sector, for example, it costs less for you to sell your materials in the new free markets. However, if you have a job in Canada that could be done by someone in Vietnam for, adjusting for inflation, approximately no money per day, the chances you will lose your job in the factory which maintains your community have definitely increased. However, one provision of the TPP not being discussed by our leaders is the Investor-State Dispute Settlement, or ISDS, and it is surprising it isn't being discussed as it affects our national sovereignty. It is, fortunately, being discussed in the United States by someone smarter than the rest of her colleagues in Congress combined, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
ISDS allows foreign companies to challenge American laws and potentially pick up huge payouts from taxpayers without ever stepping foot in an American court. Now, here's how it works. Imagine that the United States bans a toxic chemical that is often added to gasoline. We ban it because we believe it is dangerous for people's health or harmful to the environment. If a foreign company that makes this toxic chemical wants to sell it in the U.S., it would normally have to challenge that in a U.S. court. But with ISDS, the company could skip the U.S. court and go before an international panel of arbitrators. If the company wins, the ruling cannot be challenged in U.S. courts, and the arbitration panel could require the American taxpayers to cough up millions, even billions of dollars in damages.
And if this provision affects the United States, the most powerful member of the TPP, then better believe it affects us. Yes, there are positive gains from free trade, but like most big complicated things, there are negative ones as well. When Canadians want to stop American companies from dumping phosphates in the Great Lakes, like they did in the 1960s, or they demand a moratorium on fracking in their province, like Quebecers do today, they look to their government to enforce their will and protect them and their environment from corporate negligence. With the TPP, that becomes a lot harder. For Savage Rants, I'm Nick Savage. Thank you for watching.